afterwards and figure it out. I think, oh, here we go. We're live.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, boom. Another episode. Are we at episode 4?
Episode 4.
Okay. And this whole aspect of this journey of, this oneness. And before we get into that, how's your week been?
Mine?
Yeah.
Absolutely magnificent. Magnificent. Every day in this separation and instigation of reevaluation of self.
Okay.
There's always episodes which will push against the grain of what you are constructing.
True.
So when you can actually walk through it, illustrate your own genuine self through this, the cause and effect of that disruption within a vibration and an energy, you can pretty much disperse it quite quickly. This whole balance, this whole journey, realizing the simple words. But my weekend, my week has been, magnificent.
Good. And how's the winter weather?
Well, Melbourne, Victoria, I told you before, it always rips your face off, this wind, this winter.
Okay.
The exaggeration of what weather is now in what is real, what is not, what is instigated, what is that. That's a whole nother mind fuckery, as you say, that basically you can get caught up in. But we know that when it's cold, you stay warm. When it's hot, you stay cool. So they're the things that you just go. Simplicity is what it is. Let me share these, and we'll get into.
You take it out, share it, because and while Adrian, while you're sharing that, I mean, the week that I've had has been it's been phenomenal. I mean, there's a lot of, like you said, reflection, looking back, not looking back and staying in it, but looking back and saying, okay, was there something I could have done more effective, more efficient, more awareness, more understanding of myself? And understanding myself helps me to be more understanding of others, whether I engage or disengage. Okay. And some have had some, how can I say, rude awakenings in a way that I'm not engaging with them. And their question is, well, what's wrong with you? And there's nothing wrong with me. It's just I've chosen whether or not I want to engage in your narrative. And now I'm saying no. Okay. And, to the person that was always there, as I've always been, and that doesn't mean I'm not there, is that I'm addressing certain boundaries, certain limits. Okay. And before it was limitless, I would pour into it wholeheartedly without looking back. Now I'm turning around and saying, well, I'm not going to pour into it, but I'm still there. But I also make the choice of whether or not I engage in that narrative. Okay. And, one of the things that Anthony just put us is that you're getting down to stay home away, new cases, what the fuck. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's something that's going on all around the world. Okay. And it's not just in Australia. Hi, Jackie. Okay. Good boy. Hello, my friend, screening off. Okay. Facebook user. To the Facebook user just came on, you have to allow StreamYard to give you or allow it permission so we can see who you are. Okay, so that's it's a lot easier. But maybe just touch a little bit on some world events with not too much of the mind fuckery. Okay, we all know what's going on, right? Whether it's one way or the other way, but how is it affecting people? And what I'm seeing is that people around the world are rising up. Okay, they're trying to take back. I don't even like to use the word power. I think taking back presence in the sense of, what, we exist as a people. We don't exist as a number and a commodity in regards to the governments and in regards to the politics and all of the other, stuff that's been going on for eons, right? We're starting to realize that we are sovereign human beings. Okay, whether you look at it as the individual or your community or your your country of the world. But hopefully we're looking at it without the same boundaries, the same borders that says, well, this is my country and my country only. It's about reaching out to all peoples, okay, in this essence of togetherness, which also is the essence of defining this oneness with self. Because when we find unity, we're actually finding unity with self. We're able to acknowledge as much as the darkness as we are to acknowledge that of the light. Because we can't be just in one, or, well, can't be. To find balance, you have to acknowledge both. Okay. And I think that's one of the keys to oneness, is the ability to recognize that darkness and, demons, and, take it on, understand it, look at it, reflect upon it, and understand where that demon's coming from. And then be able to say, well, what did I learn? What do I need to learn? What do I need to say? And how much love do I have to put forward to let this demon go away? Because if you love them, they go away. They can't stand love. If you get angry, oh boy, okay, that demon's all over you, right? The more you give it anger, the more you feed it negativity, the more it just, takes all your energy. And then afterwards you're wondering, like, how come I'm so tired? Or maybe depressed, or maybe filled with anxiety. And it's because we've allowed that power to take our power. And I think the key towards oneness is, one, from within, is understanding this duality that we have, understanding the power of the femininity, understanding the power of the masculinity, and to find this harmonization between the two of them. So, and besides that, digging a hole in the ground. So a lot of things going on this week. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm building a sweat lodge. Would you believe it? This is in association with Clarity. And it's a project together that we're embarking upon, because we see a great deal of purpose as to how a sweat lodge can be used, as much as the traditional ways of using a sweat lodge, to some of the more modern techniques that can also be used in this type of an environment. Color therapy, as an example, in a total seclusion and high heat, can have a very beneficial effect to both body, mind, and spirit. As much as it's not just about demons. I mean, it can be weight loss, it can be detoxifications, all of this that is exactly what this sweat lodge can be used for. And one of the things that it can be used for is shedding of those emotional strongholds. And what I mean by an emotional stronghold is that some of us are very sensitive. Okay, me as an example. Okay, I'm a very sensitive, emotional soul, but I'm not an over emotion that it turns around and takes away from who I am. I live my emotions, and I feel free by doing so. And for many men out there, this is the biggest challenge that they have, is to, accept that emotional energy inside of us that is actually part of that femininity. Our vulnerability is part of that femininity in many ways. And the strength that we find from engaging in that vulnerability, the acceptance. And many a man doesn't want to accept that. But Anthony I just saw a post by Anthony, and how he engaged upon having a good cry. It feels good. It's like afterwards. I mean, maybe your energy's down, but there's something about a tear that's very positive. It just, it takes away the burden, I believe, because we can shed it off, let it go, flow it, and then afterwards look at how bright your eyes are. The plus, somebody will look at you and you got like, oh, you got bright eyes. Oh yeah, I had a good cry. And they look at you and go, huh?
Wow. Okay, so where do we go with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you let's talk about that whole element of what people are going through, and we're putting into their scenario a oneness, a journey of oneness, to remain balanced, to not be in that other voice, to find that voice of heart. Now, in frustration, in fear, in anger, heart isn't heard with clarity. And all of this uprising at the moment is that first stage of people dealing with the fear, dealing with that place of anger, which has been transmuted to now from the element of fear, to even have a clear, rational space of thought to understand why we are going through this, why the whole planet is going through this at this point in time.
Yeah.
In the chaos of everything that we are trying to justify and legitimize by the new inclusion of story and the disruption of society, you can't engage in a balance of oneness, let alone trust any judgment that you have, because there's the intuition that is not even being read. It's not even being read. Even though it's being questioned, we're not taking answer to it. We're not taking pride in taking the moment to create a stable space for us to exist.
Well, it's chaos at the moment. If you yes, Carol, we can see your comments. Okay, on YouTube. Okay, so hi, Carol. Okay, yeah, the chaos. I mean, how do you feel? You said this walk of balance within amongst all the chaos, because we're walking into a gauntlet of aggressivity, frustrations, built up fears, all of this.
We're still looking at it as a takeover, as a part of a rebuild. And it's the rebuilding of self, because you then spoke about the element of atrocity that's going on with what we're not even considering. And we're not considering it because we're so faced with this as the agenda in which we have to focus on. This meaning the day-to-day. So to separate from there is very hard when you are compiling in that space. You can't build in the same space. You can't build anew in the same space if you do not pull yourself away from it. And if you haven't pulled yourself away from it, or you have pulled yourself away from it, I should say, there is so much more to the journey that you can do with nothing, by doing nothing.
Very much so.
And have a look at what time, in what we're adjusting as time or considering as time. What is being laid out before us in the incremental parts that have slowed down time for you to be able to understand what is going on, or at least rationalize that something is going on that's not right to the existence of us. And that's what we're not considering, because the patience isn't there. We need to force the hand, force the hand, force the hand, force the hand. But in forcing the hand, you're not mastering the skill of this balance and this oneness and this ability to do so, because you do not need any qualification. All you do need to understand and appreciate is that you can now incrementally, in the way that you have built yourself, see why it was so difficult. See why there was always restraint and there was always restriction. Because when you are running true, when you are like when you put a piece of steel in a machine and expect to make that a different piece of material, it has to run true, in sequence, concentric.
Yep.
It needs to run in the rhythm of life, in a balance. And this is what this all is. The justification of answers, you should not be asking of the story in which we find ourselves. You should be asking of the questions of self, as opposed to why you disagree in the first place, because you have considered something else and rationalized it from the story that has been intuitively shown to you. The disruption and displacement is a result of people misunderstanding the words behind what they're talking. Ascension, evolution, all of these things that we associate with the simple change. It's a change. That's all that it is. And you have the right now to see that the darkness in which you spoke about is prevalent everywhere. Everywhere. It is harder to see a person in light, in genuine light, than it is to see one in darkness that's carrying darkness at this point in time. There is a lot more that we as individual people that are able to reach out to ourselves, because we are spending time in lockdown, to see how powerful we are when we consider that that story is very unworthy to consider we take place in it moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, the biggest dilemma right now with anybody facing is exactly where are you in that story? You know, how are you reacting to that story, or the story that's transposing before you? You know, we look at a lot of different things and we're only seeing the surface of it. A lot of us are not seeing everything else that's going on. You know, we're fixed on one or two elements, and then we throw in, like you said, the words of the ascension and the words of this and the words of that, and the galactic, all of this, and versus the simplicity of what we're going through. There is a simplicity, as much as it doesn't seem to be that way. Is that the simplicity of it is that it's opening your eyes to see truths, to feel truths, to understand truths. And you need to see both sides of the story. You can't just focus on the light, okay, per se, and forget about the darkness. The darkness is, if we disacknowledge it, it will continue to be happening, even if it's at the underground level. The whole point of anything to do as we're moving forward, as we're re-evolving or redoing this matrix, okay, is to shed the current matrix of where we are. What are you actually seeing as an example? Are you seeing the truths that is truly happening to the peoples, or are you only seeing what is being told to you, what is being mediatized, and what is being protested about? Okay, and we're forgetting about some of the basics, the basic elements of, maybe there's a part in the world that's starving from food because of what's going on, or maybe there's a part of the world that's going through severe flooding. Have we seen what's going on there? Do we realize all of everything? I mean, it's not just one part. And it's the same thing with the evolution of self. It's not just, okay, I'm going to be a better person. It's about everything that you've come to know who you are right now. And then where are you going forward? How are you going to, evolve into a kinder human being, a better human being, a better man, a better woman, without going into the stories of the yesterdays? And I think a major portion of the faults that we have, and this is our imperfections, is that we still want to pull the yesterday's stories forward. And so we're still milking all of this story versus what's happening right now. What can we do now? In the simplicity of it.
Yeah, in all of that, and you said it. We're questioning the story now,
Yeah.
right? But why are we not questioning the story that brought us? Why are we not questioning the story that created the space for us to think that that was the rational inclusion to what we were doing?
Yeah.
The necessary components that needed to take place for us to survive. Everything in principle, to me, is an exaggeration and a contradiction to stop us from being in this space of oneness, in this space of balance, where hatred is the last inclusion, because the element of love supersedes the vibration of hate, because it has already transmuted that within the narrative to include it, because the vibration will always be different that's included into your own personal space. And when you can appreciate the failings, the misgivings, the misfortunes of all of the other people apart from self, you can then only consider that they are going to be at one point in time in the same space as you were, in the appreciation of having nothing but self.
I don't know what to say to that. Other than it was
That's
beautiful.
the reality of what
And I just
is.
remarked, we got the same color hats on, to throw something in there. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you got a blue strip, okay. Okay, I
This
can
is
fix that.
this is
I can,
what we are. This is what is happening. This is the reality of what is taking place.
yeah.
That the balance of a narrative needs to be visited by each person, because what we speak condemns who we are and how we carry our vibration consistently. We speak ill of ourselves, we speak ill of others, we speak ill in a context which really is blasé. It's not in comparison to being straight into your face.
Mm.
But there are those people that are that. And there's nothing wrong with those things, because there is always a balance that is able to be achieved when you appreciate the words in which you speak.
Mm.
Until you dribble, because you're not considering the value of your word and the emphasis of you speaking them, to be able to understand and rationalize that they don't go to your head, they go straight to the heart.
Ah.
Because empathy is something that your heart carries because of the misfortunes that have taken place that you need to consider that others have also taken place. And allowing that to extinguish within that heart capacity that there are labels, that there are barriers, that there are thresholds of a society gone wrong that you give no evaluation to, as you consider each and every person a considerable component in the mankind of what we know. And some don't, and everybody has a voice to what they have gone through in their story.
Yeah. Everybody has a story.
Correct.
There's not one story out there that's the same. The emotional outcome can have similarities, but the way that you will experience hate doesn't mean that's the way I will experience hate. You know, there's a common point here, okay, in the sense that whatever the action is, we both hate it. But how I respond, how you respond, is our own stories, okay, our own truths. And I like what Jackie had said was is that, you know, hatred shows the capacity to love. Okay. And the more that we can acknowledge the hatred exists, we also have the capacity to acknowledge that love can correct it. Okay. By really taking in the essence of what love is all about. You know, we have a lot of misconceptions about love. You know, books teach us something, the schools teach us something, we learn from our parents, we learn from the people around us, we learn from a lot of other stuff that sort of takes us down into this word of mindfuckery that I know some people are kind of like, oops, he said that again, but it's a truth. Okay, we use the expression of like, you know, what the fuck? Why did that happen? Okay, well, the what the fuck is it's the mindfuckery that's set in because it struck a nerve. Okay, and how we respond to that nerve also is who we are as a person. So, as Sue says, take the hatred out of the equation. But in order to take the hatred out of the equation, we have to acknowledge the darkness. We have to acknowledge the depth of that darkness. We can't just take the hate away and say it's over. Okay, no. Hate is an action based upon an emotional response that comes from the heart. Okay, our heart is something struck it. Okay, it's, you know, it could feel like a knife, it can feel like a sledgehammer, you know, whatever the case may be, and it's pushed the essence of love down and brought out this essence of I hate. But is what we're hating that of what is before us, or is there something within us that we have a hate towards self? Is there maybe an act of self-sabotage that's set in? Okay, you know, we're out of balance with our emotional intelligence, we're out of balance with our spaces due to a lot of things that are going on because we've allowed it to affect us. And in a way that's a paradox because it is affecting us, but it's how we choose to engage. I think the key is the choice. How do you engage with it or disengage? And some people say, well, disengage means you're turning your back towards. No, I'm not turning my back. I'm stepping back and
It's
saying,
easy.
yeah, I'm stepping back to say, you know what? I need to look at this rather than just jump into it without thought. Okay, without the good intent, without the good feelings, without, you know what? I want a good outcome. No, we have a tendency to be sparked, boom, and then go into the emotional overload. And we see this around the world where something starts out beautiful in its essence, but then all of a sudden, bang, it turns into something else. Okay. And then that mind
It
fuckery
was
sets in and it has that dominoes effect. It has that group effect.
easy. It's easy, Gary. It's
Well,
fucking
you and me
easy.
can say it's easy. Yes.
No,
Okay.
and this is exactly like there's so many beautiful words that are being said. Yeah, there's so many people listening that are putting out so much beautiful energy. And
Yeah.
thank you, Sydney. We fucking love you. You said
Oh,
freaking.
Sydney.
We
Yeah.
fucking love you guys. You love you
Kisses
guys,
to you,
right?
Sydney.
Um, acceptance. Okay. First, acceptance.
Ah.
The acceptance. The acceptance that everything is not of your design and you are only following pre-existing pathway. Okay. Secondly, the available space of considering that you are the most powerful person in your moment. Nobody else, you. Okay. Slowing it all down, breathing as you're going through this. So we're accepting that every story needs to take place. Okay. Every story. Because within love, and if love is the vibration of everything, that means everything that goes on within the vibration of love is some way, shape, or form a version of love. And the other person in the opposition has interpreted it in a something in a different negative space. So therefore, it's also that label as well. Okay?
I,
Because the person that is raping, the person that is pillaging is loving to do so. The person that is affected by that is the person that is being in the negative space that, no, this is bad. This is what has happened because it is not of the norm. And then what is of the norm that is being considered? We see the blasé attempt at rationalizing some form of unity within the world realms by the simple inclusion of that transgender. When in the actual fact, it is just an emotion that is not being discussed to the dynamic of what is relevant, that it is not of a lesser person or a different gender. It is a person that has arrived with an open heart and the capacity to accept everybody for their difference, not to change sex, not to change sex. To appreciate that gender equality is simply rationalizing it within the narrative of what we speak. That every form of every exercise is taking place because somebody has been forced down that path initially. Does it make it right? No, hell no. It does not make it right in the vibration of love because that has been the thing that has been, I suppose, used as a catalyst, used as a element of disrepute, the word love, in the illustration of what that could mean in the perceiving of this has to happen for that to happen for this to happen. And that's love. No, 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 no. The
you know,
vibration of, yeah.
Sue had said something in regards to animals don't have hate. I agree on that point. Okay.
Mm.
In the animal world, mammal world, aves, life all outside of humans, it is only humans that have this essence of hate. And as was said, so we can create war and control and all sorts of things. And Amanda then added in that animals are actually quite competitive. They compete for food, mates, and living space. Well, that's the law of nature, but it's not hate. I mean, the animal's not looking at the other one saying, I hate you because, whatever the case may be. It is only the essence of the survival of the fittest. So, outside of that emotion of hate that only exists within humans, it doesn't exist anywhere else. Okay. As far as I'm concerned with life based upon this planet. I can't speak for the other planets. I can't speak for the other universes. I can only speak about what I'm aware of too, what I understand, my understanding of the Christ consciousness, the God consciousness, and the essence that hate is only an existence that has been brought and not brought. It's been programmed into us. Let's explore this a little bit. Okay, if we go back to let's go back to Babylon. Okay, the times of Babylon, and how hate was put forward. Okay, and how it was used to control the peoples, and you're the slave, and you're this, and you're that, and all of the atrocities that began at that point. Okay, from that point on, hate was amplified all the ways up into the stories of Nazism and all of that. Okay, where hate became a programmable tool to separate humanity from the essence of spirituality and the essence of heart and the essence of togetherness. It was put forward to separate us. So we've got this programmed response. I don't even like calling it emotion. I call it a response. Okay,
It
because
is a
it's been
label.
programmed
It is
into
a
us to say,
label.
I hate you. Okay, or you're in a fight with your wife or your friend or your lover, and you go like, they did something and I hate you because you know why? It hurts.
Well,
It
Gary,
hurts
we've
to
got
be told
people,
that.
of course, we've got people around the planet that are saying as something goes wrong in their day to day, I hate my life.
Yeah. See what it's
We've got
done?
a whole generation of people on this planet that are walking there across many, many, many different countries.
Oh
This
God, yeah.
generation, and when something happens on their phone or some bad news comes, I hate my life.
Yeah, hate my
That is
life,
their
hate my
first
phone, break
go-to.
my phone, break the
That
windows.
is that is their first go-to. That is their first word of inclusion when
Yeah.
something happens. And I've seen it. And I've said, why do you talk like that? Why does every time something happens, you say, I hate my life? Do you know how much you are pre-sending a negative energy around you? Around you. If the only inclusion of you speaking to yourself is, I hate my life, my God, what else have you got around you of deceit, contempt against self?
Yeah.
So the element of love is the appreciation that hate is a word, because it is a
Ah,
vibration of
bingo.
love. It is only a word they included, the same as now all of these unappreciating words that are unworthy, less of value. We are looking at the value of the highest vibration now, and considering that 98% of us or 99% of us do not have the moolah to be able to just do this scientifically and appreciate the whole world flipping in a moment, it is then us to consider how valuable we are by acknowledging that we are energy, and that the highest power pole, or the energy that runs around the planet that gives us power through our computers and televisions, is just a variation to what we actually are, in an energy that can actually envelop the planet with love,
Yeah.
and not acknowledge the existence, or acknowledge the existence of hate and transmute it as a lesser accepted value within the narrative in which we keep. Because in an evolution, everything changes.
Yeah.
Everything changes, and you've got to consider what you listen to and what you do not listen to, as to get
Also
as
with
in
what
the,
you say.
yeah, and
You know,
what you, exactly, and what you don't listen to, don't speak it no more. Don't have it part of the narrative. Get rid of it completely.
yeah, I had a young man here the day before ask me a bunch of questions about what was going on with the vaccines and the masks, and and the one thing that he said to me that really struck an emotional chord, he actually acknowledged, he says, my generation, we are so fucked up, we don't know. We're trying to find our way through all of this. We don't know who to trust. We don't know whether to trust the elder. We don't know whether to trust this. We don't know what. He says, we just hate everything. Okay. And I stopped him and I said, words are magic spells. So if you are speaking hatefully, you are programming hate around you. You're disassembling life. And life is this, and I said to him, so life is living in frequent evolution. Everything around you is evolving. Okay? But the more you speak with hate, you're not evolving. You're de-evolving. You're just spinning and going back and back and back and back and back and back to a point where nothing that you see is beautiful anymore. And yet the beauty is right before you. Okay, the child smiled. You say, I hate the child. Okay, the birds are flying and chirping. You go, I hate the birds. Okay, and then somebody puts some food on your table and it's made with love, and you go, I hate my food. This is how we've taken this thing that's been programmed for 6,000 years into disassembling unity of peoples, disassembling love and spirituality. We've changed it around so much and tried to make you believe a million different stories. We said, here's the Bible, here's the New Testament, and here's this, and here's that. And we're saying this is how you're supposed to live your life. And, but yet in every one of them it says, question everything. Okay? It doesn't say you're going to this. No, question everything, including self. Question your actions, question your reactions. When you look back into yourself, to the journey of self, it's about seeing your story, understanding your story. If I look at my story of 60 years, do I look back and say I hate my life? Nope. Do I look back and say I love my life? No, either. I say I appreciate my life. I've appreciated what I've learned in 60 years. It's allowed me to understand the depth of love as much as it's helped me to understand the depth of how that word hate has been used. I very rarely remember anywhere that I used that word, even when somebody was very harsh to me, somebody who I loved very much. Okay, and I loved so much that I loved beyond myself. And just the verbos that came forward to me from this person that was like, where did you come from this hateful point of view? Where did this all of a sudden transpire? And it took me a little bit to figure it out. But once I figured it out, I finally realized something. It wasn't what she was saying to me, it was what she was saying to herself. She was, writing something that had nothing to do with who I was. It was about her. And that was where it ended. Because at that point in my life, I had to make a decision whether I was going to continue or whether I was going to allow it to be free. And I allowed it to be free. Okay. And I separated from it. Okay. Did it hurt? Yeah. Guess what? I'm human. Sure, it hurt. Okay. Did it stop me from believing in love? No. Did it stop me in acting in love? Absolutely not. Okay. And I don't, and I say this very, very stubbornly, okay, is I do not engage in the negative narrative to put me down to your level. I refuse to play that game. I'm not here to play a game. I'm here to change the game. And that's the purpose of where I see myself. And I think that's the purpose of where I see yourself as well, Adrian. You are not playing the game. You're trying to change it. Okay. And, sometimes we make big strides, we change something, and then all of a sudden, well, okay, it's only a little stride. But I think we see the impact.
Oh, it goes with everything. It goes with everything you ever done in life. This is just a simple another place. This is like clocking on every morning in a factory and clocking out of an evening. The engaging of planting seeds whilst playing the game, because the game knows that you're playing against the grain of what its construct is. So therefore, if you put yourself out there, it's going to throw everything at you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to throw much of the element of negative that it can actually do to balance out the equation of you, because you are the vibration that's going through all of that chaos in the rationalization that means nothing to you. You don't have to wear the label of that. So you're pushing against the grain of reality, the grain of existence. Okay. And this is what so many people are doing now in this whole reform, this whole, army of uprising, but they're doing it against the genuine element of what it was that gave it to them in the first place, the clarity of why they are here, not the clarity of what is happening in the story. Everybody gets lost within that element of the story to find themselves fixated on what's next. And you're never ever creating any element of worth or yet any element of stability of self in the oneness in the journey as you're contributing to that all the time. As much love and as much light that you actually have, you need to be taking in equal, if not a lesser amount of darkness to appreciate the transmutation as you are balancing self.
Of course. How can you appreciate the love of life or love without understanding the depth of darkness? There's a balance in between the two of them. And then a lot of people say, no, I shed the darkness, it's all gone, and I'm all about love and light and flowery essences. Well, that's a hot air balloon, okay? And it's going to run out of helium, and eventually it's going to come back down, okay? The point is that where does it come back down? Does it come back down in the middle of an empty ocean, or does it come back down in the same place where you left it? Okay, and starting to realize that, you know what, I can't go up, but I'm all faced with everything that I've been trying to avoid. Okay, the essence of acknowledgement of the darkness and the essence of the acknowledgement of the wrongdoings of history, okay, is something that, yes, acknowledge it, but don't allow it to turn you into a bitter person. Okay, don't allow it to program you into believing something that was wrongly done. We have a choice. And again, the choice is, which path are we going to walk to find myself, for one, and which path am I going to walk to find humanity, for the other? Because we're all talking about humanity. We're all talking about humankind. We're all talking about it. But do we really understand it? Do we understand the purpose of what it is to be a human? Okay, do we? I mean, the audience, that's a good question. Do you understand what it is to be a human? What do you understand? Okay, I'd like to hear some feedback on that. Like, what is it for you to be a human? And we'll let that trail off a little bit, okay? And then Sydney made a comment in regards to somebody else's comment that was there. I believe it was Sue. And it's the way that we treat others that they will treat us in return. Very true. Exactly. Very, 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 very true. Choice is, do you treat them the same way that they treated you? Or do you step up the game and show them that you're a better person? And say, you know what? Okay, I acknowledge your perspective, but I also acknowledge who I am. And your perspective belongs to you. So how do I carry myself through that conversation without engaging in the negative narrative? And this is that 3-second rule. One of the things that I learned a long time ago was that 3-second rule was one word: ouch. Ouch sets a 3-second window for me to walk away or stay and engage. So I choose to walk away. It doesn't mean that I don't care. It means that I care for myself. And it's not of ego, and it's not of self-righteousness. It is about, you know what? I'm not going to waste my energy on this negative story. I acknowledge it. Fine. I see your perspective. Belongs to you. Move on. Okay? Because I'm going to choose who I want around me. I choose those that are positive. I choose those that are awakening. I choose to be in a story that is allowing change to take place, that is promoting change to take place. We still see the negative stories. In fact, if we go into that, and if I were to show some of the things, I think most of the audience would get sick to their stomach in some of the things that are actually going on. But why? Is it a necessity to be shown publicly? I guess that's a question for each and every person. And it says, the trigger to all the comments when coming in from multiple. Yeah, it's tricky, multiple. Thank you, Jackie, to acknowledge that. Yeah, YouTube, Facebook. You know, it's like, where are we? But you're right
Well,
here.
in regards to all of the story, it comes down to the faith that you have within self, which is belief and trust. We spoke about this last week, and we haven't touched base on it this. So the element of faith, belief, trust, let's use them all as the same variant. Okay, let's not have three different places. Let's use them all in the same space.
Yeah.
Of considering that all of them equal the same thing. Okay. So as you're experiencing this whole place of separation and solitude, because you don't have the ability to go and engage with people anymore because of the frustrating conversations, the lesser vibrational conversations that aren't even considered by yourself. No, there is that whole element of what is the true story. Okay, so go and put your head in a book. You're only then creating another unstable platform of faith, trust, and belief.
Yeah.
Because you are experiencing a brand new occurrence of what your first breath was as you arrived into this timeline, as you arrived on this plane. When they first slapped you on the ass to see if you cried, you now have that consciousness and clarity to actually decipher that miserable state that was previously, if you want to call it that, or that exciting journey that took place. And it's how you look at that to then appreciate what the role you have at this point in time is. And that is to sit by and do nothing, as you only create the element of joy with whatever you do, because everything else is the gamble of life in which you are no longer taking place with. And those people that you engage with, they're playing that game. We are all playing the game. They just don't recognize that they are playing a game. You recognize that you are playing a piece of your story in the life and the fabric of what is existence.
Yeah.
And rationalizing it calmly to be able to illustrate that consecutively ongoing, we'll just see that stable platform that you are trying to create simply appear. And you see that everything that you have done in the appreciation of faith, belief, and trust, that every person has the opportunity to go through this right now and have no other attachment, you then engage with the smarts of why you're here in the first place. You start to be a human doing as opposed to a human being. And you're doing the role which it is, and that is to take and consider that hate, fear, anger, all of those lesser vibrations that are attributed to the narrative of heart are completely actually transmuted in your own existence. Therefore, every engagement is planting a seed with somebody to consider how beautiful and magnificent they are that they haven't seen within themselves. That's my role.
Adrian,
I find it very
beautiful.
difficult.
Okay.
I find it difficult to engage with people in just what I would class as mundane conversation.
I'm the same way. Okay. You know what? If we're gonna, I can talk about whatever. Okay. But if you're gonna talk about lower vibrations, honestly, I haven't got the time for it. I acknowledge it. I don't need to. I don't need to embark upon it. Okay. And I'm just reading what Sue has said here. Human is oneness with all in creation by applying peace and love, free from restraint and restrictions. Oh wow! I should get a T-shirt made with that, Sue. Okay. I think that's beautifully said. In fact, we all say this. I'm seeing some beautiful things said by what it is to be human. Now, my second question is, are you able to turn around and walk the streets with that same thought? Okay? Are you able to engage with that same thought? Okay? Or is it just a thought? A thought, it's there, it's free. Okay? But can you put that thought into action? In the essence of what is said beautifully, do you also have that action that goes along with it? Okay, are you able to step up the game when you see something that's wrong and say, you know what, I am a better human, that's wrong, and I can intersect or insert myself into that situation to say, you know what, guess what, I have a smile for you. Just whatever it is, to turn that narrative around, to pull them back into the moment of truth, to have them have a moment of self-reflection before striking out, whether it be word, whether it be a physical action. I found myself many times in life where, you know what, clenching of the fists. But I restrained from using that because the very first thought that came to me was, I don't have the right to physically hurt somebody. I don't. Okay, I have the right to protect myself, yes, but I don't have the right to create harm. And that's always stuck with me. Now, in some cases, that high emotion ended up where I sucked and harmed myself. And I got a story to go with this. And I found myself in a situation at one point in my life where I was being bombarded with negativity. In fact, it was in my home. And I couldn't go out the door because there was one person in the door and there was one person in the upper level. And it was just left and right. Boom, boom, boom. It's like the 1-2 punch coming in. You know, it's like, okay, stop. But nobody stopped. So this energy that built up within me was, I need to run. Okay. But I couldn't run through the door because somebody was standing there. I mean, I had to push them out of the way. So, well, I decided to just run into the wall. And I did. I physically ran into the wall and hit my forehead right in the middle of the 2x4. Knocked myself out, threw myself down on the ground, and my boy was up in the upper level watching this. And he thought I was dead. I felt like I was after I woke up because, well, boy, did my head hurt. But it's an example of an emotional energy that built up rather than taking the moment to breathe. Okay, and when I reflect back at this, there could have been a better way. So I look back at my mistakes made, I look back at the errors that I've made, and I assume them, and I learn from them. Now, if you were to corner me in the same situation, I know what to do. I wouldn't be running into the wall, for one, and two, I would just gently, you know what? I'm going through that door. You can keep on talking. You can keep on whatever your negative narrative is, but I'm not going to listen to it. So you either move or I'll help you move politely because I'm going out that door. And it's the same thing with what we can see and what's going on in around the world. Just look at it. Everything that is being thrown at you is raising that lower vibration, the lower vibration of panic, fear, anger, mistrust, doubt, okay? To the point where, as we said earlier on, you come to this aspect of, I hate my life, I hate life, I hate the world. Okay, you probably went to get some water. Okay, we need water every once in a while.
I'm here.
Yeah, see, he's just around the corner. Okay, so when we can really look back at our emotional outbursts, okay, what do we learn from them? We learned that, okay, what the trigger was, what the situation was, and now we have a memory. You can engage upon this memory and allow you to make a better choice going forward if you find yourself in the same situation. If I look around the world, it's been, 24 months, the same situation, the same story. It gets built up, it gets built up, it gets built up, it gets built up, it gets built up. And, we drive down the street and we see billboards that say, get this and get back to having a normal life. Really? Was it a normal life prior? I mean, that's the one question I would have for somebody. What was normal life prior to all of this going on? Seriously.
I think the question that needs to be asked is, why are you saying that that's required for normal life, and why do you think life was normal beforehand? Because the segregation of what they've created, that whole place of the whole establishment being that disrupted, that the only next inclusion is to actually break the barrier and threshold of fear and pain, and then bring it into that chaos.
Yeah.
And when you look and sit and appreciate the value of you, the uniqueness of you, the story of you, it's not hard to see what they did and how they did it. Because the interpretation of your life isn't that far away from the equation of the interpretation of my life or the person down the road. When they consider what freedom is and they can consider what peace is, these things are not being spoken about in the genuine truth to the evaluation of people that needs it to validate why we're going through this. Freedom is something of fresh air and breathing, the ability to understand and comprehend that the limitations you're putting upon yourself by putting yourself through that journey in the other story, that's not well-being. You choose to walk away like a bad relationship. You choose to walk away.
Yeah.
You still take part in the alienating parts, which are just what you would deem the normal components of existence anyway, by the bills and everything like that. But the whole space of you individualizing your worth through all of this, just to validate when I say that we were all born magnificent, to have that simple equation at the very forefront of your existence. The rest of it just becomes like a Days of Our Lives episode, or you don't get too attached to it.
Even the damn soap operas have set us up for the fall.
Oh, wow. Wow.
When I think about it, and I look back at a lot of these things, and how we're so addicted to that, Days of Our Lives and the drama and the controversies. Like, why do we feed on this? I mean, I could never get into those type of shows for one off, okay? But I know people that can tell you everything about that. Okay?
Yeah, I know, but look at what that propels in an energy that never leaves.
Exactly.
It then creates a generation of people that hate their life. It then creates a generation of people that hate everybody else's life because they've done something successful.
Yeah.
There is so much green with envy that the planet has, as it's considering that it's unworthy of existing because it's being pushed down its neck how this is and how that is and how great this is and how great that is. And it's all an illusion.
Well, of course it is. Look at the Kardashian show. I mean, for God's sakes. If we go into some and tearing these apart, look at what it creates. Okay? The impact.
Yeah, but I'm even talking about documentaries. I'm talking about how they portray how beautiful the planet is. Yeah, they who knows what they're looking at seriously? Who knows what they're putting out there?
Yeah,
everything is just like I said a couple of days ago. This whole thing with these rockets, these Bezos and what's his name from Tesla. I reckon it's a bloody Truman Show. That they're not even just cinematography. There's nobody going anywhere. They're just wanting that status. Yeah, even what's his name from Galactic. This whole thing now is just bullshit. Absolute bullshit lies, and you can't grow from that. You can't grow from that. If you're not
you can't. You're absolutely right. I mean, how do you grow from it? Really? Okay. And then Sydney asked the question: is the Earth flat or round? You know what? I'm gonna say it this way, Sydney. Who cares? If it's flat, it's flat. If it's round, it's round. What I'm concerned about is where I am right now. Okay. In the here and now, I look out my door. I see where it is. I don't see flatness and I don't see roundness. I see life. Okay, so does it matter? At the end of the day, does it matter?
I really think that even if it is flat or round, whichever one allows everybody to live within harmonious peace is what I want it to be. Yeah. That's it.
We can throw a narrative into that and say, well, if it's round, flat, or a triangle. Why not?
Yeah. But that's never going to happen. So there's no use talking about it. if we got what we in our oneness, in our balance of self, in the journey of self,
Yeah.
don't be complacent. Don't be fearful for the things that visit. Don't interpret the things that are coming as ultimate truth, because there is the illusion in the grand scheme of things that is abundant to everybody, and that is the lie that we've all had to live amongst. So when you actually start to validate and give credibility to what you're going through in the journey of you, in the appreciation of, I do this, I know that, I seen this, I felt that. That's symbolic to you. That's reason for you. But don't take it as gospel. Revisit it and see if it wasn't just an illusion that ego threw upon you to put a chaotic space of you rationalizing clarity. And that's what it comes down to. That whole reflection that you can afford to give yourself as you go through and pinpoint the inclusion of where you are ultimately best in this life and where you can actually see that you weren't quite your best as a result of an energy that might have been yours, that might not have been yours. But how you are able to transmute that now into that element of being the best of what you were when you found your best.
Now, here's a question. You just in just to sort of elaborate on that. When you found your best, do you stop?
You stop for a moment to actually validate the feeling and see, because if you're going back in a process of pinpointing that emotion, seeing where you were on top of your game in the most clarity, even though you were subjected to the story and you're still playing that game, you could actually see the writing on the wall as you were walking that journey. And it's easy to go back to there when you validate that you've already been there, as you acknowledge the worth of what you find within yourself now. Because everything that is preset, everything that is predated any point of time that, for me, 1974, I can't take that as real construct, in all seriousness. Somebody wrote it on some occasion for it to be validated by people and then be used as some form of education to limit the next people. So I can't validate that any further, that it has any relevance in what I need to look at in this whole new world, this whole higher vibration, this consciousness of what is deemed as Christ consciousness available to everyone as they appreciate the story of Sodom and Gomorrah that's just happening outside. Same ship, different day. Same fish, different fish. No, 1974. Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's...
Wow, that would make me 27. Wow, thank you. Wink, wink, best friend.
Look at the flattery that's going on out there. It's like, yeah, okay. It's like,
It's the truth.
Yellow garden zucchinis taste so good right now. Well, yeah, well, they should. I mean, you grew it right with love, right? You know, Sydney? And I saw you got really... I saw something that happened the last couple of days. We've had some crazy weather storms here. And Sydney has this beautiful garden that I've been watching her. She's put so much love into this, you know, making her, you know, growing her foods. And then this hailstorm came through and it just decimated her garden. And she, you know, she just went out and went like, what the? But in one way, there was something to learn through that. You know, what you put into it, you put in with it freely and willingly. Okay. And at the same time, even though part of your garden got decimated, you just mentioned that you're enjoying zucchini at the moment. Okay. I mean, that's beautiful. And if you want to, you can actually take the flower of the zucchini and stuff that flower, okay, with other elements. In fact, a beautiful recipe, if you want, Sydney, okay, is take that zucchini flower, take some peppers, take some mushrooms and some sauce of your choice. You know, you can spice it up, mix it all up into a mash and little chunkiness, and put it into that flour and put it into the oven for about say 30 minutes at 350. Try it. So off to another subject. We just talked about using a flower of a zucchini. Okay, the appreciation of what one single flower. When I go into, we're kind of randomizing here. Okay, but as I'm building this sweat lodge, I've actually decimated part of my garden. Okay, I planted foods and things like that. So I'm building this sweat lodge. But at the same note, as I came out of the hole, there was one of the tomato plants had one tomato that was ripe. And I looked at it, and I looked at it for 2 days. And then today, I looked at it again, and I said, you know what? I deserve this. And I took that tomato, and I ate it, and I took my time. I took my time to just savor it. The beauty of what one fruit from a garden gave me was this feeling of a wow. It's like, you know what? Life is beautiful. One fruit, one moment, and the appreciation of what that was. As simple as it was a tomato. Okay. Oh yeah, Sydney, I'm building a sweat lodge, and it's in association with clarity. So just to give you a little bit of background, is that we do a lot of things with clarity, and we have found that the purpose of a sweat lodge has a great benefit. And there's a lot of old stories with from the indigenous peoples to Pacha, who's building it with me from Peru. But we're taking it up a notch, and you'll see it as it starts to grow. And one of my latest clips is I said, have you ever walked into the mouth of the jaguar? I want you to hold on to that thought, because when this sweat lodge is finished, you'll see what I mean. So off to something else. Okay. This essence of this appreciation, and where I was sort of going with it, and the appreciation of the little things as much as the appreciation of the big things. Okay. And to be in that moment of acceptance, and acceptance allows me to have that appreciation, because if I'm not in acceptance of the moment, how can I truly have appreciation? The two of them really go together. I can be in acceptance of the moment of where I am in the here and now. And if Adrian, you were sitting with me and we were having a coffee, I would have great appreciation for the time that you're spending with me to enjoy a cup of coffee or a glass of scotch or something else like that.
Cup of tea. You want a cup of tea, love? Cup of biscuits, some scones.
Oh, scones, you got me. Okay. Scones, cream. What do they call that? There's a special cream that they put in. My first scone I had was in London many, many, many years ago. And then I never ever found a place here in Canada that had proper scones. They would make these things that, like, you know what? No, you got to go to England to see what this scone's all about. Okay. But that scone and a cup of Java or a hot chocolate. Oh.
Well, they'll give you a cup of tea.
Tea, a little too. Okay. So, hey, I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah. You were talking about the journey and the tomato and the beauty and joy that comes with that. It comes with creation.
Yeah.
It comes with creation because you had part in it. You had part in it in whatever that was. And
planted a seed.
Sorry?
Planted one seed.
Yeah. Well, literally planted one seed, and from that there was a tomato. Now, the love and attention that it was given, it just knew symbolically that you're part and parcel of that place. And that is that parameter in which you need to set for yourself, that around you is automatically going to be felt of love.
Oh, very much so.
Then you don't have to do a lot. Seriously. Everyone's talking about, like, doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that. And I don't understand a lot of what gets spoken about, because all that really needs to be categorically understood is that you have never truly been given the opportunity to represent the best version of yourself in this time, in this storyline. So that in itself, gives you a whole element of appreciation of worth, because there's been a lot that has been done to you and you have done to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That is non-forgiving, but really you've got to let it go, because that is the element of appreciation and acceptance that is
Mm-hmm.
being asked of you now, as you balance through justification of your own self, the truth above the truth that sits in. And that is that higher vibration of total, total forgiveness for everything that has happened.
Hmm.
Because you've got to move forward of that, because you were a part of it. It happened. It was a game that you weren't attentive to. And if it's as devastating as some lives have been, that's very difficult to comprehend. What is forgiveness? And they're the people that are most likely going to forgive, because they see the error of the system's ways, not our ways. Never
Hmm.
were we trained to be this, to be above the storyline, to appreciate the misgivings, the misfortunes of it, to validate that it is only a moment in time and it is accepted for the moment. We are moving in a direction that is new. We are moving in a direction that is wholesome and created on well-being, because that is something that is not being considered as the overarching mechanism of success.
Hmm. I like what Sydney has just said here in that regards, and as we were talking about the tomato, okay, is that that one tomato reminded her of a story, her first ever seen a wild blueberry, and the appreciation that she found within that. And if I look at the way I've grown my garden, is that it's grown by itself. I haven't given it any excess water. There's no fertilizer. I'm not pruning the plants. There's some weed or plants that shouldn't be there. Okay. Or maybe they just decided to be there because they're complementary to what's happening in that garden space. And I look at some other gardens that are around the neighborhood, and they got massive tomatoes, and they're just drooping over. And I look at the one in the corner, and it had one tomato. And it took me 2 days to, reach out and said, "Am I going to eat it?" And in a moment today, I decided, you know what? It's time. And just everything that it was, taking that moment to not only appreciate the tomato or the tomato, okay, was to appreciate myself. Is that I appreciated myself in that moment of solitude with me and the one fruit. And I took my time. It's like this burst within the mouth, this burst of life from one fruit, and the sacrifice that it just did, because it was now in my mouth. So it sacrificed itself for my smile. I think that's a beautiful story, considering that tomato been growing there for I don't know how long, but it was okay. Its time was up, so to speak.
But you only did what the universe gave you.
Yeah,
It gave
exactly.
you it gave you a tomato to appreciate the simplicity of the moment.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the analytics in which you need to take. Not, oh, it got there because I didn't give it, there was only one tomato because I didn't give it that much water. It
No.
probably wasn't in the best place in the garden. I didn't give it anything. The universe gave you that one tomato
Oh
after you
yeah,
planted the seed
it was a gift. It was
to
one
appreciate them.
gift.
And that's that that present moment. Yeah. You present the love, you get them level ups, you get them times where it's just you. It's you and something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's all it is.
You know that we can expand on that in a whole level, Adrian. In the sense that that one moment of appreciation and how powerful it is. It can be the moment that a child smiled at you. Okay, to take the time to appreciate it. Not just okay. No, appreciate that smile, the effort that the child has, you know, managed to smile at you. Or maybe the elder that's, acknowledged you walking down the street amongst everything else, and he's taking that 1 second to look at you. And what is your response? Do you look at him and smile, or do you look away from him and frown? Well, as an example of that, not only the tomato was a beautiful thing today, was that an elderly man walking down the street, okay, that was having a problem going across the road, and he put on the flashers, he pushed a button, and nobody was stopping. And I stopped my car the opposite direction. I parked it illegally. Okay. What is illegal? Doesn't matter. Okay. And I got out and I said, you know what? Let me help you across the street. And I helped him across the street, and he looked at me and he didn't know what to say. And I said, you know what, sir? Have a good day. Nothing needed to be said. Got into my car and took off. And all the
Yeah.
other ones are beeping their horn at me, okay, because I'm blocking traffic. Well, my question is like, where are you in a rush to go? This gentleman was trying to get across the street, okay, and I was going to use a bad word, but I won't, because that programs it. I just looked
No,
at him and
one
said, you know
turn.
what,
One turn.
yeah, have a nice day. Go away. No engagement. But how did that make me feel? And maybe that's why when I got home, there was the one tomato. When I think about it in the reflection, I did a good gesture. I did a good deed. I came home and I had one gift. Okay, that works for me.
Yeah, that's it. And you're writing your story, so nobody can tell you that it can't be like that. It's whether or not you are going deeper within the design of your story to actually see the beauty that's within as it's being constructed, for the misfortunes, for the misgivings, for the failings, whatever that may be in a certain time and space of this life.
Yeah.
And it might be now that you're facing that, but in the appreciation of why, it's for you to grow from that change.
Oh,
because
definitely.
the pathway that you were on had been exhausted, not by you, by humanity within itself, because it's all failings, it's all faults, it's all an illusion.
Yeah.
So taking your attention and your energy away from that as you bring it into yourself, you can see that you were never really in control of where you were, because it was always in an out of control pathway that you found yourself on. Now you're able to see, reassess, realign, recalibrate.
Yeah.
All of those sensational parts of you that aren't being considered in the moment.
Here's a question, okay? Not just for you and me, but also for the audience. Is that if you find yourself in a moment of time where something is blocking your light. And what I mean by blocking light, let's say there's something negative before you that's blocking your light. What do you do?
I'll tell
Hopefully
you.
you do.
I'll tell you a story. You like stories? I'll tell you.
Yeah.
This is made from an echidna, and when I was welcomed into country in Australia by a tribe in Queensland,
Oh, that
we
sends a
made
shiver.
this and wore around my neck. I've worn it every day since. Right, 2 nights ago, it come undone in bed, and I'm in the shower in the morning and woke up, and it's like, oh, it's missing, and I put it on, and then last night as I laid down to go to sleep, this almighty weight of negative energy just completely hit me, right? And it was multiple like energies that were keeping it down, like really powerful. And I just said, I go, wow, you took that off the night before to think and displace that whole attention that I was keeping in my own resistance of vibration. And you allowed this to come in. Oh, okay. And I said with ease, I said, do you know that you're not allowed to be here? You know this isn't the place that you're going to find any place to settle. What are you trying to accomplish? And as I talked through it and navigated through that space, you just felt little components of your whole body being left, and the weight not being so restricted, and then just talked into the easing of the breath that brought the heartbeat down. So then the anxiety that is associated with this negative energy isn't able to remain. And it was like, it's fun for me. That's fun. I enjoy that sort of stuff because it pushes the boundaries of you.
Exactly. Boom.
It is not you to fear. It is for you to face, and facing that element when it is something that you can't physically hold or see, but yet you can feel, and you feel from the heart, this is not right. This is an energy that is like exhausting. To exude all of the breath out of you was so much heavy weight that the stable place of having your moment to be able to get to that 3 seconds that you spoke about, when it's an interaction with another person that's got a negative energy.
Yeah.
It is everywhere. Energy is everywhere. It is displaced. It is misplaced.
Yeah.
It is not controlled because people do not deem within the current psyche that it is something that the humans can control. It is something that is external of us. That is the chaos, the myriad of lies and deceit that they have put into us, and taken that separation of faith, trust, belief out of ourselves.
Okay, just looking at a comment that came through. Kaz says, "Eat my flesh, and I'll give you all." Okay. I don't know how to. Yeah. Okay. Just like wherever that came out of the blue, care like really. But Asan, just to give some credit here, Asan is in the background for everybody in the audience, and he is the one that is actually controlling the screens and allowing it to have a great purpose. And Asan, love you, bro. Okay, you're doing a beautiful, beautiful job. I feel kind of privileged here. Okay, and you're just, yeah, you're doing beautiful. So there was a comment from a user. If Hassan, you can pull that one up again. It was about somebody feeling blocked. Okay, so uh, to whoever you are, if you just acknowledge StreamYard, we'd be able to see your name. So I don't know who you are, but I'm going to try and go into this story a little bit with you. You say you're feeling lost and blocked, and you want to find your way. You want to help yourself, and you feel like you're just underneath a spell most of the time, and you're not sure how to help yourself. I'll give you my opinion, and I'm sure Adrian's going to tune in with his. Okay? I know what you're feeling and what it is to feel like this heavy burden and this weight upon you. And, maybe there's a decision you're trying to make and you don't know what to do and how to go, or maybe you don't know how to increase your vibration. Okay? At a moment in my life, here comes another story. Okay? When I was broken. And what I mean by broken, I mean I was broken. Okay? At, over a little over 50 years of age, I found myself with all the wisdom that I have, all of the experience of life that I have, that it wasn't enough. And I was broke. Not broke monetarily. Well, that was part of it. Believe me, there was a whole scenario going on. Okay? But it broke me to a point where I had no willpower left. I had no willingness to live. Okay? And I made a choice. I made a bad choice, but I assume it. What I'm trying to say is that don't allow that to suffocate you. You're more powerful than that. You're much more powerful. Okay? Rainbow. Okay? It's nice to see you.
Yeah, I knew it was her. I knew it was Rainbow.
I can't see the comments, so unfortunately I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can't see. I can only see Facebook user. But
yeah, that's what I saw too. So
can you put it back up, Hassan?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
okay. I feel lost and blocked. I find I want to find my way, help myself, but I feel like I'm just under a spell almost, and I'm not sure how to help myself. Okay. You're asking all the right questions of yourself. You don't need to
Yeah.
seek it from anybody else. I know that you're going through extraordinary things at this point in time where your whole existence of life is at a point of upheaval, where you're having to separate from material and keep an element of love and light within your physical well-being. This is you to engage in a lesser value of what you formerly had within the paradigm of material.
Mm.
Okay, the beauty in which you are, Rainbow, the beauty in which you hold with the vibrancy of your hair, through your look, the engagement and the ability to bring joy to others is what you are when you sit silent. So you just have to see that within yourself and hold no value to anything that may pertain to you finding anything other than you. Does that make sense? Because you have everything in you at this moment. And it's because you have never been validated as a person in regards to what you can be, in regards to deliver, that you've not got as a coherent part of you to go back to. Believe me, you have got that. You would not be going through this and asking these questions if you have not lived every role that is able to be lived in this storyline. Okay? Think of that for
Beautiful.
a moment. Think of that for a moment. Think of the mayor, the president, the prime minister, the queen, the king, the murderer, everything that has ever happened in this timeline, Rainbow, you have been in one storyline. Okay? One version of, you have played a role in a life as that. Each and every one of us that are talking to this capacity have done so. Have done so. And that's the only thing that you really need to accept, because then all of the information in which you are seeking comes forward. And what you think that you have to be isn't necessarily what you will actually be in the light of how you paint it. It'll be a variation of how you've drawn the picture to how you arrive and do the same thing. Same role, just in a different outlook, different perception, different delivery.
So,
So,
in other
yeah.
words, Rainbow, detach from the story, detach from what's holding you back. Okay, yeah, we acknowledge you're going through a hard time. We all have some challenge before us, but the most important thing for you is to look at yourself in the mirror and see how beautiful of a person you are, because the material does not make you a beautiful person. It doesn't. Okay, at your last breath, you don't take it with you, you take your memories with you, and the best memory you have is your footprint. Not about what you lost, but what you gained by finding yourself. And maybe it means to make your life more simple. You know, dreams are free. Nothing wrong with dreaming. And you can dream and dream and dream and dream and dream, and you can create from your dreams. And you may find within your dream and multiples of dreams that you may end up creating something even more miraculous than what you already have. So look at yourself in the mirror and just appreciate that you're a beautiful human being, because you are. Even if I haven't met you in person, I know you're a beautiful human being. Just like Adrian, I know he's a beautiful human being. I get to see him more often on the screen, though. Okay?
um, we've all been turds at one point in time.
Oh, yeah. I've had
We've
my
all been
moments.
turds, but that's what the system had us be. Yeah, we made choices to be a turd at that point in time, but we didn't understand or rationalize what was being put upon us, because all of that has been thrown upon us unwillingly.
Yeah.
As we accepted and governed that they were going to be something that protected us. That's that's the difference in all of this. Is you don't have to subject yourself to so much pain, anxiety, frustration, ridicule by just turning away from it. because it serves you no purpose. It never did. The whole establishment, everything is there to be abused. Everything was put in place to abuse. Nothing is genuine.
Yeah.
Nothing is genuine. Because if it truly was genuine, it would have a greater voice when it came to equality and when it came to a balance of unjust actions that take place. So
I want to add a story into for Rainbow and anybody else that's listening. There was a point in my life that I had an abundance of everything. Believe me, everything. Big house, heated swimming pool, pool tables, money and trips and all sorts of things. And then something broke. And that relationship that broke ended everything. And I looked at all of the material and I walked away from all of it. All I had was my clothes. I had some dishes. And I said, where am I going to go? And I found this quaint little 1-bedroom apartment, nothing in it except the fireplace. And I spent the first couple of months sleeping on the floor in front of that fireplace. And I learned to live with myself. It taught me who I was and what was important. Because all the material in the world, all of that money meant nothing. What meant something to me was that I was able to live with myself. I still had things to go through. I still had things to let go of. But to detach from the material was easy. Because it was mindfuckery. It didn't give me anything in return. Honestly, it didn't. What gave me something in return was to see who I was, to understand that I'm a good person, that I didn't do anything wrong. It was a choice of another. So whatever it is you're facing, whoever is listening to this, don't judge yourself. Don't be the hammer on top of your head, because you're a beautiful person and you have beautiful qualities. And the best quality is that you're a creator. You can create anything you want if you're determined. Okay? That's all it takes is determination and willpower. So create another story.
create another chapter.
Another chapter.
Because your story, as you said, never ends. Never ends. It is a continuation, and it is for you to engage as you appreciate that you start at the bottom and you're rising to the top.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's all you're doing. Many stages of completion are necessary to engage in this for your whole life. You don't just fall in there and go, oh, here I am. This is beautiful. Oh, my God, look at it. Oh, wow. Everything is so fucking easy. It takes time. You need to master what you are, how you represent. So you never drop in the vibration of self, that you will always be and try to be the best of what you are by not walking over people, by accepting that wherever you engage, that is only an interaction for you to remain within the space of self.
Adrian, is that a coffee that you got going there in the corner?
No, it is a lemon water with ginger. Fresh
A
ginger.
lemon water with ginger. I was just watching the steam, and it just gave me this. Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Just a craving of something nice and warm, because you know, a little overcast and things like that. You know, even though it's still 20 some odd degrees outside, but I was just admiring the steam coming off of that and saying, "Dang, would that be real nice right about now?" Okay.
Well, the ginger with the lemon is nice. It's just squeezed lemon with sliced ginger.
Oh
So,
wow, very good for the system. Very good detoxifier. Beautiful for the clarity of the blood system.
yeah.
And lots of other things that it can do too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had my coffee this morning. I'll have one this afternoon a little bit later, but I'm Italian, so coffee was always part of it. I was making coffees from 5 years old.
Oh God, I can have a coffee at midnight and I'll still go to sleep. It's just
No, no.
I don't
And
recommend that to a lot of people, though.
well, it's again, it's the illusion.
Yep.
Because again, it's not good to have coffee after this time because it'll keep you awake.
Yeah.
That's with the 100 people that they surveyed. Everything is like Family Feud. Everything's like the Family Feud. Every story that we have to listen to, we surveyed 100 people, and it come up that if you drink coffee after 8 o'clock, you're going to more than likely stay awake all night. Top response.
Yeah.
57 people said it.
Then don't sit with me at 11 o'clock at night and have a cappuccino or an espresso, because, yeah, you know what? If you believe that, you're going to be going all night long. I'll be over in the corner going, doze off.
But in that whole scope of what we say, when I'm saying it, everything is contradicting. Everything is a contradiction.
Yeah.
Because that's everything. That is everything. The way that we breathe, the whole scope of what science deems as truth.
Yeah.
And it all pertains to truth. The contradiction is that truth isn't being spoken as much as it is believed that it is spoken. Yeah. That is a contradiction. How can you continually talk about something that happened 2,000 years ago to be part of a system now and appreciate?
Yeah, I mean, how much time have you spent rehashing the same old story? Okay, Adrian, got a special request for you. Where's your guitar?
Right there.
Okay. So as we're winding down, Jackie, what's with a coffee enema?
I don't know. I think she's asking, have you ever taken place in one? There's a coffee shop in Australia that offers them.
What?
Yeah, there's a coffee shop in Australia that offers them, that you go there and but it's funny the way that the seating is. The way that the seating is, it's very funny. Because it's like
I got all these funky visuals going through my mind about a coffee shop that's doing coffee enemas.
I'm joking. There's no such place.
I can just see them all lined up and saying, "Okay, what strength of a coffee do you want?"
Oh no, it would be like all these ostriches with their head in the sand.
Yeah. Jackie,
just put your head over there. Just go put your head over there.
Okay, Jackie, you're over in the corner right now. Okay. We've gone, coffee enemas. You should probably end up talking about strawberries and whipped cream, right, Jackie? Ah, bonsoir, Mademoiselle Mary. Okay. Wow. Okay. It's not very often I get to speak French, but I do love the language.
I can only say one thing. Je ne sais pas pourquoi.
Well, that works. You know what? That'll get you a date.
Yeah. I don't know why. That's what it means, doesn't it? I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why, but you know what? It's a great way to open up a conversation.
Okay? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you're sitting in a coffee shop for coffee enemas and going like, yeah.
That's it. That's where it's probably most likely. You walk in a coffee shop that's coffee enemas, and then you say, "Je ne sais pas pourquoi."
Yeah. Boy. Okay. So as we come to the tuning down, what I'm going to ask Adrian, like I did last week, is that I love his interaction with music and his ability to tell a story with music. And I think it's a great way to, end our life, not per se end it, but more the continuation of the next step. Okay, let's say we're not ending it, because if we're not ending this, it's going further and further and further. Okay, and the more we go into this sharing of story with you and the ability to show you that we're real men, we are, as far as I know, last time I checked, okay, and that we have sensitivity and vulnerability and an awareness of what it is to be connected into this moment, and through this narration and this journey towards oneness and wholeness and wholesomeness. And we're getting there more and more, because I see you in the audience making different choices. You know, sometimes you post something that shows that we planted a seed, and there comes the fruit. So I want to listen to Adrian's beautiful song for all of us, and then we'll have a word of an end cap for you for tonight.
All right. On the spot. On the spot, we'll let it go.
Only way to do it, bro.
Put a candle in the window.
Oh, God.
But I feel I've got to move. I'm going. I'll be coming home soon. Long as I can see the light. Pack my bags and let's get moving. 'Cause I'm bound to drift a while. When I'm gone, I'm gone. You don't have to worry no more. Long as I can see the light. Guess I've got that old traveling bone. 'Cause this feeling won't leave me alone. But I won't be losing my way, no. Long as I can see the light. Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. Put a candle in the window. But I feel I've got to move. I'm going, and I'll be coming home soon. Long as I can see the light. Long as I can see the light.
Adrian,
I love that song.
that was unbelievable.
That
Okay?
was okay.
Unbelievable. And Jenny, thank you for joining in, Jenny. It's like I'll be talking to you very shortly. Okay, that I promise. Adrian, you know what? You put so much passion into everything, and I have a great appreciation for the man that you are, and truly. And the day that we will be able to sit eye to eye across from a, in fact, fuck the table, just sit eye to eye. You got your guitar, I'll bring the coffee on, and we're just gonna jive to the beauty of life.
It'll be a
And
party. It'll be a party. It'll be a party. It'll be the thing that the necessary completion of a
yes,
stage. We
yes,
play parts. We all play parts in this, and we have to consider what parts we play. Do we incite or do we inspire? And if we inspire, then we consider the worth of every action that we do and what we put forward in every interaction.
yeah,
That is what this is. In that like we talk about all of the good shit. We talk about all of the beautiful stuff that's happening. But the rationalization of a person that's facing this, that's going through this, has already put into their own thought and their own process of where it's going to happen, that this is the ending of what we could call as mankind. What we could say is what we lived by in history. This is now, all of this is going to be part of history, Because as this is being heard, as this is being played, as this vibration is being accepted by everybody as a truth, it then shifts everything that we know. And we all have to understand that everything that we know needs to be shifted, because we have not seen where we are to be, because we are still looking at where we are. That is what this is all about.
Adrian, I love you, bro. Really do.
Love you too, and I love
You
everybody
know,
else. I love the huge interaction people are doing, and
yeah,
from
the comments, everybody, please, thank you very much. And please thank yourselves for joining with us for almost 2 hours as we took you on a story and randomization of a variety of different things. But in all aspect, it's all about connections and unity and togetherness and helping you to see that you are a beautiful person. Okay, we believe you're a beautiful person. I believe each and every one of you is a beautiful person, regardless of your stories, regardless of your color, your language, your creed, your walk of life. You're a beautiful human being. And it's in the realization of being a beautiful human being that we're going to come together as humans, being more beautiful, more purposeful, more creators, and everything else. And Carol, you and your animals and tomatoes, oh my God, now strawberries. How the hell did that one get into this one?
full moon. Full moon.
Adrian, what are you feeding your women over there in
No,
Australia?
it's full moon. Full moon, mate.
Oh my
Full
God, yeah.
moon.
Watch out. Full moon? Oh boy.
Yeah.
This full moon
It's
that
the
just
crazy.
went through, Lionsgate,
And,
just a little tip
yeah.
up on Lionsgate, it's coming in. The energy coming in, the lion's energy coming in, be ready to roar. It's not about a bad energy. It's a beautiful, empowering energy coming in through the lion's gate. Grab it, run with it, roar like a lion and stand strong. Stand to your truths, come together, just like Adrian and I do from two opposite parts of the world. We show you that you can do this. We can do this. And we will change it for a better world. No other narrative other than it's going to be a better world. Because I'm going to keep believing it until it's my last breath. And I got quite a few years left.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm the same. And just touching on what you said, I know that everyone was born magnificent. And this is what we are to inspire them to see within themselves. The story in which they found themselves was at their demise. It has never been for the beauty of their design. It has always been the limitation of the demise, or the limitation of being your design.
Yeah.
Okay. And the magnificence that we speak of is the understanding and acceptance that you do not have to know everything. It is for
No.
you to find, as everything else is just let go of. Now that the space of magnificence is part of your repertoire, and you appreciate where you're coming from.
Mm.
These weekly sessions are really good. I enjoy them. I like the conversation with the topics of the community and the visitors that are watching.
Yeah.
You and I will be talking for many, many years. Many
Well, we're
years.
just beginning, my friend. Look, I mean, we've got a millennia to go ahead. Okay. Like I said, we got quite a few years ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and thank you so much for
Yes.
having me.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining with us as we talk about a variety of things. Lots of love, togetherness, unity. And if you haven't got somebody to hug you, you know what you do? You take your right hand, just like this, see? And you give yourself a hug like no other. And guess what? That's a hug from me and Adrian to you. So
Mm-hmm.
blessed be. Peace out. We'll see you next week. Namaste.
Ciao.